So in this video, we're going to study the circle. Most of you probably know this already from geometry. So our optimal equation to be in for a circle is going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H comma k is the center. Notice h is going to be when x is set equal, when x has a coefficient of 1. Notice y has to have a coefficient of 1. Okay, what makes this 0? Okay, that's going to be h. What makes this 0? That's going to be k. That's where our center is coming from. And our radius is r. And so this is the form we're going to want to be in when we want to gather information like where's the center, the radius, and so forth. And so number 1 says we're going to name the center and the radius of the circle. And here's the equation. And if you notice, this is not the standard form of the circle. So we need to get into standard form. We're pretty close to being in general form. So that's the first place we're going to want to go. Okay, so this is going to be 2y squared, and I'm going to just move things, so minus 48y plus 2x squared plus 4x plus 240 equals 0. So let's just check, do we agree that this is in fact a circle? Yes, both quadratic terms have the exact same coefficient. So notice, okay, x comes first, then the y, so I'm just going to start gathering. Now at this step, what we need to do is we need to start, notice this is a square of a binomial, this is a square of a binomial. So that means we need to complete the square. So if you have your linear terms, okay, that means if you have both linear terms, that means you're going to have to complete the square twice. Okay, so 2x squared plus 4x, and we're going to have to be putting in some value here, plus 2y squared minus 48y, we're going to have to be putting in some value here. That should not be on the left-hand side. We can move that over. And then whatever we add into the left, we have to make sure we add into the right. Now, we can't start completing the square until the coefficient on the quadratic term here is 1. So we have to factor that number out, 2. Okay, so it's going to be x squared. That's going to be 2x. And now we can complete the square inside the parentheses. So half of this squared is 1. So now, you didn't really put in 1 into here. You put in 1 times 2. 2. Okay, so if I just added 2 to the left, I need to make sure I add 2 to the right. So now, factor out the positive 2. It's going to leave me with y squared minus 24y. And now, I can make a perfect square trinomial inside by completing the square because a is now, the coefficient on the quadratic term is now 1. So half of this, negative 12, square it, 144. But you didn't really put in 144, you put in 144 times 2, so you really put in 288. Okay, so negative 240 plus 2 plus 288, that's negative 240 plus 290, so that's 50. Okay, so now we're getting closer, right? We have to write these as squares of binomials, so that's going to be 2 times x plus 1 squared, which you're allowed to do because this is now a perfect square trinomial, plus 2 times y minus 12 squared equals 50. And now what's the only difference between right here and this? Look at what's in front of the square of a binomial. 1, what's in front of the square of a binomial here? 1, 2, and 2, so we shouldn't have that there, so we have to divide off that 2. Okay? Whatever you do to the left, make sure whatever you do to one term, you got to do to all terms. So this would become x plus 1 squared plus y minus 12 squared equals 25. So now that you are in standard form, you can say what the center is. And the center, what makes this 0 for x? Negative 1. What makes this 0 for y? 12. So the center is negative 1, 12. And the radius, okay, once you are in complete standard form, which is this form, you take the square root of this value, and the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is okay, just making sure that you can graph. Okay, so what you have to be able to do with a circle is convert from general form to standard form, pull out the center, pull out the radius, make sure you can graph it. Okay, no characteristics about a circle. So, are we in standard form? Yes. So what does that mean? We can pull out the center, we can pull out the radius. So, first make sure you know, yes, this is a circle, right? So the center is -4, 1, and the radius is the square root of 10. Since we have to graph it, why don't we round that to a few decimal places? So this is going to be 3.16 approximately. So we have to graph this, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And we have to go, we can just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, go to the right by 3.16, 1, 2, 3, 3.16. Go up 1, 2, 3.16. Left 1, 2, 3.16. Down 1, 2, 3.16. And try your best. I know look at my increments, they're not great. So how much of a circle is it going to really look? Not too bad. Okay, so just make sure you feel comfortable graphing. And problem number 3. Okay, so the endpoints of the diameter, or I should say of a diameter. There are an infinite number of diameters in a circle. Okay, of a diameter of a circle are 1, 2, and 110. Write its equation in standard form. Okay, so remember what diameter means. Okay, diameter is the chord, the longest chord that passes through the center. Okay, so what we have here, 1, 2, 110, if you want to just draw it, if it helps. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so those are the endpoints. So you know it looks something like this. Notice it's your diameter you have there. What's directly in the middle there? In the middle, okay, is the center. Okay, the center is going to be in the middle of these 2 points. So if you want to know, okay, the center is in the middle of the endpoints of the diameter. So remember, the x-coordinate, how do you get the center? You take the average of the x's, right? So 1 plus 1 over 2. 2 over 2, that's 1. Okay? 2 plus 10 over 2. So this is the x-coordinate, the y-coordinate of the center. Okay, remember, the average of the x is the average of the y's from geometry. If you have the diameter, you have the endpoints of a diameter. So that's going to be 12 over 2, which is 6. Okay, so the center is 1, 6. And now, distance, right? What is the distance? Well, this is a vertical line, so it's a little easy to tell, right? This is 1, 2, this is 1, 10. Okay, we know that this has a length, this has a diameter of 8. Okay, so what's its radius? If the diameter is 8, the radius, right? 2r is the diameter, so cut that diameter in half, which is 4. So this would be in standard form, x minus 1 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 4 squared, which is 16. Okay, so just make sure you feel comfortable graphing a circle, writing from general form to standard form, and just pulling out all of the information. This is y minus 6 squared. Okay, so that's it for the circle.